Testing we're working. Hopefully we have some sound. Great. I'm hoping to show you. Let's just hide that. I'm hoping to show you how to make this kind of composite image of either a rising moon or a setting moon, as per request. It's about, I think it's 3 images combined together. We shall start by opening my computer. I've got this calm ocean image, which I chose because it's got some quite defined waves and a nice calm effect. I want to unlock the layer, and then I would like to adjust the hue saturation on it. Not the hue saturation, I want to do brightness contrast. So I want to turn the brightness, no, that's next. First thing I would like to do with it is select the waves, which is like we did on the rays of light coming through the trees thing. I'm going to use the sample colors option and just move my cursor around until I've got a nice selection of just these waves, what looks like this. I want to just adjust the fuzziness a little bit, and something like that is fine. Click OK, and now we've got the selection, and just like we did on the forest thing, do Control J, and that will create us a new layer with just the waves on. Are you with me so far? Then I want to take my original water layer, which I'm going to call water, and we'll call this water highlights. Okay, I'm going to take my water layer, and then I'm going to adjust the brightness contrast. So I want to turn the brightness down and the contrast up. You see it starts to look a little bit like it's at night. So far so good. And then you can see our water highlights standing out quite nicely. Now these water highlights I want to mess with and see whether I can make them a bit glowy. So I'm going to double click on the grey background and try, so let's try inner glow. Well, that worked really nicely automatically. So we've got blend mode normal, opacity 100%, fill opacity 100. That's probably about it. But can you see how it's making us really come alive and look nice and shiny? Then we can OK that effect. So far so good. Now I would like to get rid of this sky, if I am able, because I want to replace it with a night sky. So I'm going to go, I'm going to get on my rectangular marquee tool and draw a box over just all the sky like that. And then I want to place embedded, I've got a Starry Night picture here which I'm going to drop in here and Alt drag out till it's about that big. I want to move that down a little bit further. Let's try there. I've lost my selection, so I'm going to have to make my selection again. So I want to select that much of it. Turn on my Starry Night and select the Starry Night layer. And then I want to hit the layer mask. And hey presto, we've got a night sky over our water. Great, so far so good. Now I'm thinking I want to adjust this to make it a little darker. So I'm going to add a brightness contrast layer, but at the moment this is going to adjust the whole image, and I only want it to adjust the layer below, so I'm going to hit the clip button, and now I'm just going to adjust the contrast until it looks fairly believable. Okay, so far so good. Right, we'll probably need to bring the moon in. Okay, so let's file, place embedded our moon. So I've got a great big moon picture. I'm going to hold down Alt and just shrink it down a bit because it doesn't want to be too big. And I'm just going to move it up. I'm just using the arrow keys to move the whole thing up a little bit. Probably just about halfway. And then choose OK. Now, as I was working through this before, I ran into a snag with this. Let's see if we can do it correctly the first way. So I've got the rectangular marquee tool. I'm going to select the bottom half of my moon, then just hit delete. Won't let me delete it because it's a smart object. So let's go to layer, rasterize layer. Now we can hit delete, which is on the delete key on the keyboard, and then Control D to deselect that. Next we need to select the black bit behind the sun, and to do that I'm going to use the quick selection tool rather than the object selection tool. I'm just going to left click on the black, and if by magic it selects all of that, so we're going to mask it out by hitting the layer mask button, and instantly we've done it backwards. Now we've got the option of hitting invert here, which works great. So we'll do that. The other way we could have done it, we could have held down Alt while we clicked the layer mask button, which would have had the same effect. Right, so I'm going to select my moon image, get on the move tool, and just move it down a little bit because it was a shade above the sea. Okay, so it's sitting there, but it's not glowing as well as the sea is. So I'm going to double click on the background of the moon layer, and I'm going to use maybe let's mess with its levels first. Let's mess with its exposure. Now again, because it's on the top of this stack, it's going to adjust everything all in one go, something like this. And I don't want that. I only want it to adjust to mess with the moon. So I'm going to hit the clipping mask. So we're just working on the moon. I'm going to make it nice and bright like that. So far so good. Right, what now? There we go. So I want to get to my water highlights. And you see here we have a brightness contrast mask. If I turn it off, we can ignore that bit completely. Water highlights, and then I'm going to create a layer mask, but I've created a white layer mask, and what I want to do is create a black layer mask, so I want to invert that. So our water highlights have a black layer mask. Okay, now with the mask selected, I want to pick myself a soft brush. So I'm just going for a brush, soft edge, hardness all the way down to 0. And then I can just start drawing in where I want my sun rays to. It's not the sun, is it? It's moon rays. Moon rays. Well, they bounced off the sun, but you know what I mean. Okay, so we've now got quite a nice highlight there. So far, so good. Now, one thing I'm thinking is the horizon line here is really quite sharp. So I want to soften that. So I'm going to go into my Starry Night layer mask. Starry Night layer mask. And I think if I go over it with a soft brush in white or black, let's see, we're set to white. And I just want to ever so slightly just graze the edge. Let's zoom in. Graze the edge of the sea. So I'm going to hold down the shift key to constrain myself to horizontal. And I don't like that. Let's try it again. Can we get it? That's a little bit better. Just slightly softened it. So we've got our moon, our rays, and everything all combined. That's quite good. I'm looking at the full moon. I'm wondering whether we can make it glow a bit. So I'm finding my full moon layer, double clicking on the grey background, and I'm wondering if we use outer glow. Inner glow, where's it gone? It was there earlier. Outer glow, there we are. So I've selected that. I think it's remembered my settings as I was playing with it earlier. We've got a spread option which just needs to be quite low. Opacity 25%. It's nicer slightly higher, 38%. Noise down to 0. Blend mode normal. And let's just OK that. Now, can you see this line here? This is being caused, let's zoom in so we can see it. This is being caused by the layer mask here. If we select the layer mask and paint on it in black, I think. Black. Can you see that disappears? There we go. Jobs are good, as they say. Thank you for watching.